Hello everyone. This is a video about asking yourself what you believe in and lately grappling with the idea that the person whom you are, the self, is the most sacred relationship you're going to have in your entire life and the one that goes through the most changes, I would argue, from start to finish. This is going to be a really hard street to record on because people be fucking loud on their motor bicycles. Um, okay, so I wanted to be more laissez faire about this and just kind of go off and say it's taken me a while to realize that, like, we spend our lives trying to catch up to others, and we make new friendships, we meet new people, we traverse through time, we find our people, our tribes, our clique and our hangs, and it's so fun to bring new energy into your life, of course, and to learn lessons and send messages and have jokes and be told stories and just grow as an individual. But something that I've been doing while reflecting and not playing catch up to people, and actually been moving forward from a lot of pattern detachments that I would say have resulted in me getting into a dynamic of wanting attention from certain people, and whether or not they're aware of it, being withholding of that and sort of replaying an emotional dynamic or narrative that I've worked very hard to get past. And now putting it into practice is pretty satisfying because now I'm realizing, oh, I actually don't need to vie for the approval or acceptance of a person who actually doesn't know who you are, or doesn't want to take the time to get to know who you are. So the way that we portray ourselves in the modern era, I would describe it akin to sleepwalking. Okay, and I do this too. I sleepwalk around and mask, which is a term. Basically, I use the energy at reserves or whatever you want to call them to cover up whatever it is that's going on underneath, so I can keep composure and keep everything hunky dory and fluid and easeful throughout different social situations in society. Okay, it's very difficult to have to want to mask these behaviors, but we all do it. We get sad about something, a pet dying, a breakup, a loss of a job or a promotional position, or not being able to afford Dubai chocolate. It's whatever is attacking us at our center, at our core, we want to mask for whatever reason because we think, oh, if I display this part of myself, it's going to be off putting for some people, or they're going to judge me, and I'm going to have less connection to other people than I previously once had. The truth of the matter is I've been doing a ton of crying lately and a ton of reflection on why it is we in the first place need to cultivate the kind of culture with our own identity more important than facilitating relationships that may or may not be satisfactory to you. Now, I think it's okay to love people, obviously, that's what is important and what drives us and unites us and causes us to be interested outside of our own sphere, hopefully, and bring new belief systems into the way that we practice. But I just want to say that it's it's been really satisfying to be able to put into practice the letting go of the mask and just walking around how I feel, doing whatever the fuck you want if it's not bothering anybody, trying to be as authentic as possible, and to not fit into a higher ideal, because that's also something that I think subconsciously is planted into us as being members of modern society. Is everybody wants to belong to a tribe. That's a natural anthropological drive to want to belong to culture and to share something with people. But I do think one of the bravest things that a person can be these days is like a freak or a whack job or a nutso futso, somebody who doesn't dress like a a person that you'd expect to dress, who is in their 20s, or a person who is in their 60s and still dresses however the fuck they want, because there's no need to mask our own personal lives because we're afraid of kind of letting that human part of ourselves show. And I've been doing this a lot on walks lately, is I've just been like, allowing that human part to show to myself, not because I need the acceptance from other people, but more because I need the acceptance from myself. I need to be able to say, like, oh, whoever I am, and if that person is somebody who is eccentric and undesirable and outspoken and maybe a little woo for some people, because I do believe in angels, bitch. And if you don't believe in chakras or whatever, mythology, whatever you want to call it, you're shitting on like hundreds of religions and belief systems, because whether or not Hinduism is something that is real to you, that is something that's real and sacred to a culture of the world. And to not be able to, what I learned in school, a hello anthropology major, is that every cultural perspective is valid and valuable, because that is the microcosm in which people have grown up in. I'm not talking about illegal deviant behavior like predatory behavior or actual like human sacrifice, which whatever paganism exists. I just hope that they aren't currently practicing on people and or animals. But my point is that belief systems differ, and if you're going to be somebody who wants to get back in touch with the inner child, the imagination part of ourselves, you would benefit, I think, from embracing perspectives that may seem a little unusual to you. Now, I saw two people performing a dance and tape recording themselves, and other people were like pointing and laughing at them when I was walking outside. And I was like in my head and looked at them and obviously acknowledged what they were doing. I was like, okay, good for them. Like, they're trying to do whatever, blow up the algorithm. They're trying to get a new Apple dance, and they're trying to practice whatever skill it is that they cultivated and they're good at. Why is it that there are only certain periods of time that we're allowed to be outspoken or super social or dancers, singers? Is it because of social etiquette, or is it more because people are afraid to be exiled and kicked out of the tribe? As somebody who has had a very tumultuous relationship with, I guess you could say, family and friends, exhibiting whatever kind of behavior you want to call it and being kicked out of the tribe, so to speak, it's not the end of the world. It's more of a reflection on the people who are kicking you out than you, especially if you're not hurting anybody. There's a lot to say about conflict resolution and how human beings approach coming to terms or understanding with one another. Now, I consider myself a very understanding person, so I almost understand too much where people are coming from, so much to the extent where I will let people ignore me and let that pass for friendship, or let that pass for familial intimacy and bonding. And the truth is everybody's on their own schedule these days. We're all sleepwalking through the 21st century and waving through propaganda and socially tailored, curated, I might add, acceptable interests outside of, the amount of people I've had recommend yoga to me, or recommend like fucking, I don't know. I can't think of what to compare that to. But anyway, I have every right, and you do too, to be able to engage in your own culture with yourself. So whether that means being as outspoken as you like, or whether that means engaging in your own belief system, if that may seem a little strange to the people around you, then by all means, how dare you show that human part of yourself? How dare you exhibit a behavior that may go against the grain for once in your goddamn life? I am so sick and tired of seeing other people be extremely oblivious to how their actions affect other people. And I'm also extremely tired of seeing people just have no consideration, okay? The amount of people that I've had to visually show to them, like, bitch, I'm walking on the sidewalk too, get the fuck out of my way, okay? Because people just expect me to move because I'm one man and they're in a group of people. Get the fuck out of my way, okay? Or people who expect me to engage in social etiquette in terms of letting relationships just fizzle out if you don't like the person, especially when you are told all these things and all these the promising nature of new people in your life, if you're not going to take me as seriously and respect me as much as I respect you, then I have every right to be able to tell you off and or be outspoken about the fact that I'm not interested. I'm not going to wait and play the waiting game and just wait until the stars suddenly align. I'm here. We could all die tomorrow, okay? I'm reading this book called Tuesdays with Maury, I think it's called. Tuesdays with Maury, something like that, where the guy has ALS and he's slowly dying throughout the end of his life, and he is reflecting on everything that he's learned. And it turns out the guy didn't have to experience a degenerative disease to realize that he's been a kind person his whole life. Okay, he learned from an early age that it's about the time that you share with people, not about the items that you procure or the titles that you achieve or even the achievements. You know, your contributions to society can just be sitting around and taking care of yourself. That's enough. We have such a vendetta against euthanasia and suicide, and for what? To let people feel alone and lonely and hating themselves, you know, with no out. I'm not an advocate of suicide. I'm not an advocate of self-harm, but it's really interesting. The cultural perspective is like you are only as valuable as what you can contribute to people around you, and that's not true. You are as valuable as how you can take care of yourself and how you can set small goals, even if that small goal is just waking up in the morning. Okay, so I just wanted to offer this presence as a way to voice my coming into myself and my understanding of what it means to be a proud but also respectful human being. So thank you very much for listening.